Hi everybody, welcome to my channel. I wasn't going to post anything today. I wasn't going to post anything till Wednesday, but for some reason, I don't know, man, something was calling me to do a post. So I had researched and put together something over the weekend, and I didn't want to do it till the 4th, but I know like it's Lionsgate and that was going to be my post for today, but no, I'm sorry, that was going to be my post for Wednesday, but I don't know, I always said no, it's time, today's the day. So this subject I wasn't going to address probably until this weekend or something, but this is going to be a touchy subject. I'm not so it's going to be the spiritual side of COVID. It's going to be, I saw it in a certain way, and this is just my perspective on things and the things that I took and noticed to, and it's just my opinion. And anyways, so I'm gonna start. You know, it was so like, I don't know if I want to do this, and it's like in this freaking nice folded like paper, like, anyways. So when COVID happened, I saw it as a spiritual opportunity to grow myself and to use my gifts as in a way that would challenge me, and it was the perfect opportunity. So when I before this all happened, I started grounding myself like in October, November, December last year. 2020. And no, 2019. And so when all this happened, it was just like, okay, great, like I'm gonna implement this shit, like cutting off my energy and all that stuff, right? So I'm just gonna start from the beginning. So I feel like looking back, that we were blindsided by this rapid spread of this virus, and I know, obviously we all know what some facts are. So the news was everywhere. It was in our faces, on our phones, everywhere we turn. Like the donut shop had it on, like everywhere, you know. And then it got people stuck. It got people stuck and tunnel visioned on this one thing that pretty much brainwashed everybody. Like, yeah, maybe they were facts, but like we'll get to that. Maybe there were facts, but you know, the whole fear was the brainwash. The whole fear of like, it was like when you're, okay, so it's like the fear was based off of you could die, right? It was pretty much the bottom line. Bottom line is you could die, right? So people didn't want to get sick. And let me just tell you something. I listened to this podcast, and it was called Conversations with the Devil. Mind you, I don't know. I mean, it says it was channeled, but let me tell you something. I listened to that podcast from beginning to end, and I swear it was 3 hours. And I went in thinking like, whatever, but when I started listening to it, I was like, holy fuck, like, no shit. Like, I saw the points in some ways. So I'll put that in the link below. But listening to that podcast and then watching what was going on in the world, it was like, holy fuck, like, this is crazy. So anyways, so it was like when you're faced with like you're gonna die, everybody's natural instinct is to go into survival mode. That's why people wanted toilet paper. That's why people went to go like survive. Like, I'm gonna be in my house because I'm not gonna get out for, and we're gonna survive. Like, that's what it was. It was survival mode, right? So then it was like this repetition, like, of COVID this, COVID that, the statistics, and like we've never seen so much information on one fucking virus ever since I've been alive, you know. And then the weaker mind, not the weaker minded, but the minds that get tainted quicker, you know. I used to be that type of mind, so I'm not judging. Mind you, this whole fucking shit is not a judgment, okay? It's just my perspective and my words. You could take them however you want, but they're not malicious or like to offend anybody or whatever. So they're not. So the weaker minded got sucked in, like the weaker minded collective, but they got sucked in for a reason. Also, so they got sucked in because those are the people who needed to be awakened. They needed to be awakened because when awakenings happen, they happen because you get traumatized. You have near-death experiences. You have like, you get some like disease or like cancer or whatever, and that's what awakens people to like that's what awakens people, period, right? So my personal mindset, like I said, before it was labeled a pandemic, it was to give no energy, to be like, don't express any fear, don't speak it, and be aware. Like, we were aware of it, but we weren't giving it any energy. When I say we, I mean me and my children, my kids. So and we had a plan, right? Like, so say they felt sick or whatever, the plan was, we followed the plan. Like, you stay in your room, you call me from there, and you don't get out. Like, I'm not taking you to the fucking hospital, because if you go there, it's the fucking hospital. Come on, let's be real. You know, like, everybody that's sick goes there, and you could probably get it more at the hospital than you get it here at your home, and I'm better to take care of you than anybody else. So, nobody's touching my babies. So, made a plan, and then we live life. We agreed to take action if we needed to, and we weren't gonna panic when there were no cases in our local area at the time. So I was like, that's way too full. Like you're jumping in, like you're fearing something that's not even here yet. Yeah, it's here, but it's not knocking on your door, you know. And we have a plan if it does, right? So with that being said, I feel like I taught my kids how to stay in control of themselves in a world when the world around them was in panic and in fear and afraid of, like, you know, and how to cut off their energy to things that we did not, that you do not want to bring into your life. We kept to ourselves, and we went places when we needed to. And honestly, my kids kept up with the news. I did make them aware, though, not to get stuck on everything, and to make it a habit, or to get overly obsessed with it, with the information that they were giving. Because when you think about it so much, what you think about is what you bring about. So whether it's positive or it's negative, right? And the news was overwhelming. Overwhelming, yeah, it was overwhelming, and I think everything happened in such a rapid process. It was like massive rapid programming, like it was the fucking the quickest programming ever that ever existed. You know what I mean? And the programming was the program to be fearful, fear of death, and fear of death is like due to disease, loss, sickness, and their solution was isolation. Don't see anybody, don't whatever. And when, if you're a person that's around your family a lot and you isolate yourself, that causes depression. I remember when I moved from my family, I didn't even move out of the state. I just moved from like Oxnard to LA, and I stopped going there like the first 6 months, because the first couple months I was driving like back and forth, because my kid went to kindergarten in Thousand Oaks. So I would drive from LA, go to Thousand Oaks, go to work, go to school, pick them up, and go all the way back to LA. You know, so I was tired of driving at one point. You know, so I did that for 3 months. So when I stopped going because I felt overly exhausted, I felt like I felt sad and like something was wrong with me. So I went to go see a therapist, and she said, well, what has changed in your life? And I said, well, I stopped seeing my family. She says, you're homesick. I started seeing my family, my whole life changed. It was just like isolation and being away from people really causes depression. That's my whole point. It causes you to feel different. It causes you to feel like a loss of something, you know? And there was a rise in alcohol sales, a rise in anger, loss in self-control. I don't know why I'm crying. And we were put in situations where where people had problems, where people used work as a reason to avoid issues that mattered more than work, is what I'm trying to say. So they avoided issues to fix when work was the priority. And that's not the priority. Your foundation, your family, unity, quality time, your loved ones, like that's the priority. People, you know? And those who avoided that got to experience that. And their experience probably was shocking. You know, like fuck, like my kids really don't even talk to me or whatever, you know what I mean? So people were put in situations to force to deal with people's problems head on, and which people had been like lashing out, they were acting out, they had destructive behaviors, like they had malicious ways, and a lot of pent-up emotions, and which resulted in low vibrational energy. All of that low vibrational energy, and then like all the riots had happened, right? All the police shootings, like with all the races, all the protesting. I'm sorry. I must be tired. Okay, with all the protesting. And for me, not watching the news and not watching any of that, it was like, what's really going on? Like, I felt like the riots were a distraction. Like, they caused something to make the people, you know, and then the shootings started happening, and then it was a focus on the pigs. Yeah, let's focus on the pigs, and then, you know, and then it was like, and then it was like, it went away, and then there was focus on, like, you know, shootings and, like, you know, just standing up for one another. It just, you know, it felt like a lot of like showing you how bad the world is, you know? But it wasn't even about that. It wasn't about showing you how bad the world is. It was showing you how bad the people that run the world are. We are not the people that are bad, their decisions. Their decisions that they make are bad, not the people. Let me rephrase that. You know, and then the whole COVID thing like took a back seat for like 2 to 3 months, and then all of a sudden when it did take a back seat, guess what popped up? False negatives or false positives, like all that stuff popped up. You know, and I don't even think that shit was addressed. I mean, it was thrown out there, but never was it addressed. Never did the statistics change, like, not that I know of anyway. I mean, I could be wrong. Or I mean, they didn't even, you know, address it or like whatever. So it was just like another fuck up on the people's leaders, on the world's leaders, and they just made it, you know. And then they came up with the vaccine. And they made it seem like it was another solution. The vaccine? No vaccine. Okay. So the vaccine doesn't prevent you from getting COVID. Neither does the fucking flu vaccine. The flu vaccine doesn't prevent you from getting the flu. It decreases the symptoms, and hopefully you won't get the flu. But let me mind you, people that get the flu shot still get the flu. So I believe that they were trying to make it seem like a solution. Well, get the vaccine, get the vaccine, get the vaccine. Well, I'm sorry, the vaccine is not going to prevent you from getting COVID. You are injecting COVID into your body to get the antibodies. And people are like, oh, I'm sick. It's like, hello, you're gonna get sick. Even if you get the flu shot, you get sick. Oh my gosh, those why? Why are you doing this right now? My God, I'm sorry. There was like, I feel like they projected it as a cure. And people were bamboozled when they weren't cured, you know? Like, let's focus on facts, people. Like, like, don't believe everything you hear. Don't believe everything you read. Like, just because there is the government and we abide by them doesn't mean everything they do and say is the truth. Come on, they are human beings. So out of fear, people trusted and got vaccinated, right? And government went far enough. They went far enough, right? Then they had this whole bribery thing. Like, oh, get some free beer if you get the vaccine. You can be in the lottery to win $1 million. Like, how low vibrational is that? It's like, those are materialistic things, right? With the possibility of winning. Like, what are the odds you're gonna win a fucking $1 million? Like, for getting a fucking vaccine. Like, not that it's probably not true, but whoever you are, if you won the $1 million, let us know. I just think that it was all shady, because I feel like I wasn't inside of the tornado. I was in fucking Wyoming and shit, you know? Like, I was like looking from like up here, or I was on the outside looking in, I felt. And when all these things were happening, I'm just like, what? Like, red flag, penalty, you know? Like, fucking kick that guy out of the game. Kick that ump out of the game. I felt like they thought that people were stupid. You know? I think they felt that people were stupid enough to, like, and some people, you know, do anything for money. Not only that, people would do a lot of things for a beer. You know what I mean? And that's another thing. Like, I felt like, what are you doing? Like, there is a thing called alcoholism, and it is a real disease, and you want to give out free beer. Somebody on his worst day could take you up on that offer, and it could just lead him down like a total rabbit hole. Like, they didn't think about that. It's really, really not cool. Really not cool. Anyhow, and I feel like, you know, they had to, like, make this. Why would you need to bribe anybody unless you had a hidden agenda? I just feel that way. And I've been talking about it, like, here and again, but, like, I think it's really bottled up in me, so I'm just gonna get it out one time and then call it a day. You know, it was like, why did they want to get it out? So I feel like, in a way, they wanted to lower the population. And I feel like the vaccine, I know I heard, or like, yeah, on the news, because I did, you know, have glimpses of it, that it causes, like, non-reproduction. So if your kids get the vaccine, it is a way to, like, prevent them from having children, which shouldn't be anybody under anybody's control but the person, you know. And if you get rid of your child, if you have an abortion or anything, that's your choice. Like, I feel like people need to do things. I feel people need to do what they got to do, you know. And I'm supportive of that. Like, I've had friends that I've been there for, you know. I'm just not, you know, not judging anybody. If this was just a random, like, virus, like the swine flu, it's like the government, I don't think, would have cared. like they didn't care with the swine flu. They didn't care with the swine flu, you know, and the government didn't care. But I think they felt so like they fucking, it went so far that it created loss of jobs, loss of life, loss of like a lot of things that people counted on. Right, and it got a lot of out of control, and I feel that all these suppressed emotions from not being able to have materialistic things, and the fear of not knowing if you were going to be able to be to have an identity. You know, it's like some people base who they are off of what they have. And if you don't have, then your sense of self, well, not that people's sense of self gets lost or gets devalued. They devalue themselves. They feel bad about themselves. That's could lead to like fucking drug abuse and alcoholism and like all that stuff, you know? And, you know, it's just. People do define themselves by the things that they do have, seriously. You know, and you shouldn't, because you're way more valuable than the things you have around you, so don't believe that. And it was like a roller coaster. It was like we were just like on like fucking Gold Rush at Magic Mountain, dude. You know that shit is janky as hell. You just like or like cycling like the wooden rides, you know, they're not smooth as anything, so it's like my neck. Anyways, it just took the toxicity to like the highest. So and if we compared this whole COVID as like a relationship, like it was so toxic. It was so toxic. Like that's like so you're in this relationship and you are like manipulative, so your girlfriend like fears things, right? And then all of a sudden you tell her like you should do this, you should do that, because you're making her feel like it's in your best interest, but you're really not. Like it's like you want her to be secluded so you can have control. And I feel like that's kind, you know, it's, you know, from the outside looking in, it really does look manipulative, you know what I mean? And I just feel like when you have control over someone's mind, why am I sweating? Oh, it's hot. I don't have my air on. When you have control over someone's mind, like in that conversation with the devil podcast I was listening to, it says in there like the devil, he's there to like get you when you're at your worst, because it's a great way to take control of your mind and not have you think for yourself. His worst fear is having us think for ourselves. Because when you get lazy and you get complacent and you just like don't make any choices in your life, it's like, and you just kind of like whatever, you know, it's like your life, it's an opportunity for him to grab a hold of you and in your mind and like go down that left road when you should be looking forward and staying on the right path, because it's what's best for you. You know, when we're in that low vibrational energy and like we're doing things that we shouldn't do, you know, that's the mentality of a lower vibrational person, you know. And we're all, I'm not saying fucking I'm always on the right. I'm fucking, you know, I'm sometimes on the right fucking for months, and then I'm like, I gotta go, you know, and then, you know, lose myself for a day or two, and then I fucking come right back. It's like we all cannot keep it together all the fucking time. I understand that, you know, and I'm just saying that comparing it to a relationship, it's toxic, you know, and we got to get out of that. That's my whole point. We got to get, when your relationships are so toxic, you got to get out of them, right? So And then you got to reprogram your mind to get out of the fear, to get out of like everything that you were manipulated into believing. So now that the chaos is not so chaotic, and with Jupiter and Saturn in retrograde, it's time to reflect back and go back to the time in like October, November, the last 3 months of 2020, and sit there for a minute and remember how you felt. What were you going through at the time? Because what you were going through back then is what you're